You heard about Ben Gordon? Got arrested
Vaguely.
for stabbing random people.
Wait, come again?
He stabbed random people. You heard about this at all?
No, but I know his history.
And what is his history?
I think it might be bipolar, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so like he's a real bipolar. It's not that Kanye bipolar, that fake one. This is real bipolar.
Yeah. So apparently he was arrested. He was just walking around stabbing people with needles, and he got arrested. Do you know him personally?
Yeah, we've talked, we've trained.
Okay. You guys play on the same team?
I just trained at the gym.
Okay. And he was always off, is what you're saying?
No, so when you're bipolar and you're an athlete, you got to remember you can run down the rabbit hole of that sport, getting better, watching film. Like, you know what I mean? There's so many things that keep you occupied and that under control. You got the medical staff has to make sure you're going to get the medicine every day. Like you have this wall around you where you don't have episodes because you got to remember you're being monitored every day.
Yeah.
Right? You're being monitored before games. We're going to get you know what I mean? So even if you have an episode here and there during practice, whatever, it's still manageable. But when these players are done,
they get thrown out there.
Who's giving him this stuff? So now you're going to have a guy who hasn't been on his meds 2-3 weeks. You got to remember, them 2-3 weeks, he's never had that in his life. This is a whole new human being. Yeah, he's Ben Gordon, but this is a Ben Gordon that no one knows because he's never been this person. You know, so it's like, you know, like it's more medical than it is like he's a bad guy. He's not a bad guy.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Kanye's going through the same thing.
No.
You know, even Dame Dash said that. You don't think so? You don't think Kanye's off his meds?
He is not bipolar.
I mean, I know someone that has known him for over 20 years. Very close. So I'm not going to say who it is because it's a private conversation. And he said he is bipolar and he gets off his meds from time to time. And that's when you usually see these episodes.
He takes med. He's prescription bipolar.
Yes.
Huh.
Yeah. That's what he told me. This is someone I've known myself for like 10 years.
I mean, it could. I mean, he has the behavior.
This was not someone clout chasing. This is a personal conversation of someone very
But you would
close.
think he's on just the way his energy is. You know, he's on the spectrum of something.
Yeah, exactly.
But like even like somebody like Delonte West, same.
Yeah, I mean, Delonte's very far gone.
No, but it ain't because it's him. It's like once he's done and no one's making sure he's getting his medicine where he can stay, you know, I'm going to stay focused.
Yeah. I mean, look,
you know, it's
hang on Skid Row in downtown LA.
But it's not because it's because he wants to, because he doesn't want to take, like, you know what I mean? Like when you're dealing with bipolar, like it's different because it's uncontrollable.
Listen, I had a very close friend, Disco D, who's bipolar. I saw him have his episodes. He would suddenly just flip out and act erratically and upset people around him. And it ultimately ended with him hanging himself in his mother's house. You know, he was going through a serious financial situation. He couldn't afford to keep his apartment. He moved back in with his mom. He was depressed. Me and him spoke about it and ended up killing himself. You know, bipolar disorder is serious. I never downplay it. And, you know, walking around Skid Row, you know, in downtown LA, you see these episodes. You see these people like that. And you ignore them because they're homeless people. But if you give them a Kanye megaphone and listen to everything they say, it'll probably sound kind of similar to some of the nonsense that Kanye's saying his mom was sacrificed and Jordan's dad was sacrificed. And, you know, I mean, he's called Jay-Z the feds. And, you know, I mean, it's paranoid. It's erratic behavior. I mean,
but imagine, but that's what I said. Imagine that, like, an athlete is worse. Well, you got to remember to be in the NBA, to be in football, you had to be controlled for long periods of time.
Yeah.
To tap into your greatness, right? So if you've been taking medicine constantly for 15, 20, 25 years, and then all of a sudden you stop.
Cold turkey. Yeah.
And it's like that, whatever comes out, it's like, whoa, we don't know what this is because it's never been, it's never been there before. See, with someone like Kanye, it's like week on, week off, week on, week off, week on, week off.
Because everyone always tries to find the genius in everything Kanye does. And I like to remind people that he canceled his entire world tour during a rant on stage. Remember that?
For $10 million, yes.
Well, I mean, that tour was probably going to generate hundreds of millions of dollars.
But he got paid it was the Lords of London's lawsuit. Right. That the only way he'd get out of that lawsuit is somehow he went mentally ill.
Okay, but I'm saying he had a tour, a world tour that was already booked. Venues were put aside. Staff members were hired on. Like you're talking about tens of thousands, well, including the fans who bought tickets and made arrangements. You're talking about hundreds of thousands of people whose time and money is affected by this action. And during an emotional rant, he says, fuck this tour, I quit, and meant it. That is not what a sane person does.
Yes, it is.
So you think he did that on purpose?
Yes.
To get out of the tour?
Yes.
For $10 million?
Yes.
That's not a lot of money for Kanye.
Now think about it like this.
He would have made more off that tour.
California, he did 7 shows alone in California during that time. Think about who he is, right? As a person who needs to move, right? He needs to keep going. And you are being burnt out already. Now you have 11 more months of this same one tour, but mentally you're trying to start a whole nother project. And your language says mental breakdown is the only way you get out of it. And that happened to happen.
So you have a mental breakdown.
So you have a mental breakdown.
I
and then you're like, I don't even know if that case, look, see if that case is solved there. I mean,
settled?
Settled. And I know they're like, because that's remember when he dyed his, you got to remember during that whole time he dyed his hair. He became, I'm bipolar, I'm taking my meds, I'm meeting with.
Well, back in 2018, they have amicably resolved that lawsuit.
Okay.
Whatever that means. It's a $10 million lawsuit. It's been resolved. That could mean anything. That could mean that someone walked away with nothing or someone walked away with a ton of money.
It was about they were fighting over that.
Yeah, so Kanye sued them, citing that his treatment at the psychiatric center meant that he could get out of it.
Told you.
Yeah, man, listen, I don't know.
It was more about creativity, man. That's why when I see stuff with him, it's like, unless you talk to him directly and you know the plan, it's just, you're just getting hit with it and you got to try to figure out what's what.